Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California. I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavissmileyshow.com. That's thetavissmileyshow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. Before I jump into the rundown, Happy New Year to you and you and you and you. We were on Best Of for a few days during the holiday season. This is my first time back on the air live to wish you and the folk you love a very, very happy and prosperous 2025. Two great hours of motivation to start this year in front of us. In our second hour, best-selling author, podcaster, and thought leader Carlos Whitaker on how to tap into our own humanity, reconnect with each other, and rid ourselves of the bad habits that hold us back. In our third hour, storyteller, producer, and author Chloe Luvuezu with insights on how we can heal and redefine the stories of our lives for the new year. So as we always do at the start of each year, a couple hours of motivation on today's program in hours 2 and 3. But in this first hour, what does the year ahead look like politically, socially, economically, and culturally? Always delighted to dialogue with our regular contributor, the towering public intellectual and noted civil rights attorney, Connie Rice. Before I get to Connie, first, though, some sound from President Joe Biden. Just a few days left for Joe Biden in this one-term presidency. We'll talk about that with Connie, I'm sure, in a few moments, what that means historically. As we move toward Thursday, the state funeral of Jimmy Carter, the last one-term Democrat to serve as president. But yesterday, the president had some interesting remarks. He must have known I wanted to start here today. He's tracking me mentally. And here's what President Biden had to say yesterday about today.
Every generation gets tested. I taught constitutional law for a long time, and I used to always give a lecture about every generation has to fight for it. I never really believed what I was saying, in the sense that I didn't think I'd have to fight to maintain democracy. But tomorrow's January 6th. Tomorrow's January 6th. We gather to certify the results of a free and fair presidential election and ensure a peaceful transfer of power. It's a day that most of our history we took for granted the 6th. But I hope we never take it for granted again. 4 years ago, January 6th, this Capitol was attacked by a violent mob. If you come over to the Oval before I leave, I'll show you the room that the former president sat in for 3.5 hours watching what was going on television, the small dining room off the Oval Office. And our democracy was really, literally put to the test. And thankfully, our democracy held. But the big reason is because of the bravery of the Capitol Police and the local people who stood with us. Never forget them. They're guarding you. Give them the respect and support they deserve. But it's also due to the members of the House and Senate who, even in the face of these threats, in the threats of their life, courageously fulfilled their duty to the Constitution. They showed up and did the work. Now it's your duty to tell the truth, to remember what happened, and not let January 6th be rewritten or even erased. To honor the Constitution, not only the most extraordinary of days, but it's one of the toughest days in American history, January 6th.
I'm going to cut Connie loose here in just a second. First, though, as I listened to the audio of the president yesterday, I chuckled. You heard that part where he was talking about, if you come to the Oval before I leave the office, I will show you the room that Donald Trump sat in for 3.5 hours watching everything going on. Now, I was just in the White House a couple weeks ago. Spent some good time with the president. We had had a good conversation in the White House, and he did not invite me to the Oval, but he has a national press conference, and he invites the whole country. I'm just cracking up. You heard him right. If you come by the Oval before I leave, I will show you the room. So is that like an invitation to all of us to go to the White House, to the Oval Office, to see the room where I laughed. It was funny to me. Anyway, I digress. I'm going to let Connie have the rest of this hour when we come forward. There's a great deal to talk about, but you see why I wanted to play that sound from the president from yesterday, not just to draw attention to that part that I thought was a bit hilarious, but because this is an interesting and awkward day. Kamala Harris will be overseeing an awkward election task today, certifying the vote that she lost. So that's one piece of this. The other piece, as the president put his finger on quite nicely, is that it just happens to be January the 6th. And on this particular day, Donald Trump is being certified as the next president of these United States. You can't write an introduction better than that. You can't open up the show on the first new day of the year, broadcast-wise, with a better lead than that. And you couldn't have a better guest to unpack all this with than Connie Rice. We'll get it started when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From California to the Carolinas, everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Sherry, what have you done to your hair?
What do you mean? Does it not look good?
It doesn't look good. It looks freaking amazing. I can't believe how thick and healthy it looks. Oh, I must know your secret.
No secret. It's hair volume from New Nordic.
Hair volume, huh? Well, it certainly lives up to its name. Your hair has never looked so thick. It is gorgeous.
I was so tired of having thin and brittle hair. Ugh, and the shedding. So I figured I'd give hair volume a try. Needless to say, I'm thrilled with the results. Hey, where are you going?
I'm gonna pick up some hair volume right now. My reunion's next month and I want my hair to look as good as yours.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural health products from New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Scandinavia. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or your local CVS. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy. Help your hair look full, voluminous, and beautiful again at newnordicusa.com or CVS.
Febreze. So my home is also my office, and before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppables, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Connie Rice. Connie, so are you going to accept the president's invitation to go to the Oval and check out the room where Donald Trump sat for three and a half hours a few years ago watching all this unfold on the Capitol?
I don't think so. Got better things to do.
Yeah. I ain't mad at you, but it was kind of him. It was kind of him to invite you and the rest of the country, though, to come
Yeah,
see.
no, didn't she like that? Didn't she like what? I don't understand why he didn't give you a personal escort over there.
we were on the other side of the White House, so we were a few steps away from the Oval. So I'll get there another time. Not in the next 4 years, I'm sure, but we'll go back to the Oval another time. Let me just jump right in and make the most of the time that we have. First of all, Happy New Year, Condi. I haven't talked to you even in the New Year, so as one of my dearest friends, Happy New Year. It's good to hear your voice on the air once again. So he puts his finger though on something that's quite serious, and that is with the passage of time, whether or not we will see, and I see evidence of it already, that January 6th and what happened then is going to be rewritten, to use his word, or altogether erased. He made a powerful point there about the rewriting and the erasure of what happened on January the 6th, and then the awkward nature of Kamala Harris overseeing certification of the vote that she lost. Take it anywhere you want to take it, and I'll follow you.
Well, that last point is the beauty of peaceful transfer. This is how it's supposed to work.
Right.
Notice how all of a sudden, since their candidate won, elections were all of a sudden overnight free and fair, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and the economy looks good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we saw how that worked. But you know what? Today, it's no erasure. It's worse than an erasure.
Mm.
He's flipped it into a political. He's flipped it into a political advantage. He's taken January 6th and lionized it. You know, he's got his J6 choir, and he's going to pardon all of the rioters and the folks who were the vandals and who killed the cops. He's going to give them pardons. So he's actually turned January 6th, which I call White Insurrection Day. He's turned that into a cause. A political cause, and lifted it up as a banner for winning. And so it hasn't been erased. It's been lionized. And that, that's just part of what we're studying to be able to figure out, okay, how did all of this bamboozling and mythology and, Wizard of Oz machinery manage to not just flip January 6th into something to be revered and have its own national anthem, but has actually taken us further down the wormhole of the lies and the sort of anti-democratic, autocratic machinery and mythology. That's what this flipping of January 6th means. I mean, the reason I call it White Insurrection Day is because you remember Ron Johnson, the senator from Wisconsin, who was almost beat by the great Mandela Barnes. If only a few more of us had come up, we'd have got. But it was Ron Johnson who once really genuinely asked the question, when did white supremacy become a bad word? I mean, that Ron Johnson, right?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That senator from Wisconsin, when he was asked, weren't you afraid of that raging white mob with its guns and its spears and its beating up of cops and storming the Capitol? Weren't you afraid? And he said, well, if they had been black, I would have been afraid.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
I do.
I do. So when you take a look at this, January 6th would not have been a day of celebration for the MAGA world if it had been African Americans who stormed the Capitol. So we need to understand, and although the racial stuff is not the main point here, do need to understand that that's an undergirding dynamic of what's going on here. But what's mainly going on here is these are the folks who've been left behind. And in this election, we saw a few of broadened out and became more racially diverse. But the best analysis of why we got here and why we're looking at January 6th and wondering how did it become okay? How did it become okay for a convicted criminal who's a sexual predator and a habitual liar? Why would the American people choose him over a stellar establishment candidate? That formulation right there tells you they're so angry with the way they've been left at the bottom of the well, as Derek Bell used to say.
Yeah.
Have been pushed down where poor African Americans have been for 400 years. Now they're down at the bottom of the well with the poorest of the poor. Yeah. Now they want the country to actually address the issues that that the Black Liberation Movement has been trying to get the country to look at for African Americans, but because we've asked it for African Americans, will not do it. Now that it includes more white people, we may be able to fashion a politics of upward mobility that's less focused on race and can actually address the stuff that's driving people to support a candidate like Trump.
I gave a speech the other day, and I tried to drive home the point that, to my mind, and I took no joy in saying this or sharing this or expressing this, but to my mind, America has become a lie-loving country. That's who we are. We are a lie-loving country. We have fallen in love with lies, and there are some lies that have endured for generations, for centuries. Think, for example, of Columbus discovering America. There's a long list of these I could run through if I had the time. I got a smart audience. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about, where I'm going. Long list of lies you can think of on your own. But America is a lie-loving country. And again, some of these lies have endured for centuries. My question, Connie, given that you went further than Joe Biden, he said rewritten, he said erasure, you went lionized. I don't disagree with anything you've just shared a moment ago. I guess the question is whether or not you think down the road historians will allow that lionized version of what happened to stand.
It depends on who the victors are. Remember, history's written by the victors,
That's
right?
That's right.
So right now, it's not clear who the victors are. We're in a tussle. We're in an arm wrestling match. We're in a struggle, and just for the right, for sort of rule of law, democratic framework that we were supposed to be trying to achieve. America's never been a democracy. Through the efforts of African Americans that we've realized, made applicable, expanded. The theory of a democracy that we were given in the framework of the Constitution. And it's you have to perfect it. You have to carve it out. You have to craft it. You have to build it. And that was the process we were in. And in the 60s, 1968 was the first year, Voting Rights Act, 1965, when the Voting Rights Act passed, that was the first time this country even had a footprint for full democracy. Everybody who was eligible could then vote. All African Americans could vote. All women could vote. So that we haven't been at full democracy framing for more than 70 years. That's not a long time.
That's right.
So so I think you're bringing up the exact right issue, because where are we right now? We are in an arm wrestling match for who that victor is going to be to write that history. They've already told, our opponents have already said, you saw it in Ron DeSantis talking about slavery was a job training program, right? The reason you have museums like the African American Museum in D.C. and the Holocaust museums, make sure, because they will deny slavery, they will deny the Holocaust, they will deny the Rwandan genocide if you let the victors who actually perpetrated the war crimes and who perpetrated the atrocities of slavery and the Holocaust and all the other things you see going around the world right now. The folks who win will write that history, and they can write it however they want to.
Yeah. Speaking of history, let me pivot now to some other issues I want to cover, all connected to this day. In case you've just tuned in, today, as you well know, is January the 6th. The certification of Donald Trump as the next president of these United States happens today because she is essentially the president of the Senate, serving as vice president. Kamala Harris, awkwardly, somebody wrote the other day that the vice presidency comes with plenty of indignities, but none quite like the one that Kamala Harris has to navigate today, certifying the vote that she lost to one Donald J. Trump. At least Hillary, when she lost to Trump, didn't have to certify the election, sit in that high chair and certify the election to the guy to whom she lost. That's what Kamala Harris, sadly, regrettably, disturbingly, has to do today. So I want to just spend a few minutes talking about Kamala Harris. Everybody's talking about, and I'm not sure she's figured it out, but everybody's talking about what her future looks like, what happens next for her, beyond, again, the indignity of what she has to do today. What say you about the future of Kamala Harris?
I would say today is the height of her dignity. When she's demonstrating and carrying the mantle of multiracial democracy. I'd be up there proud. loud and proud,
I
saying,
like it.
this, gentlemen, is how it is done.
I like it. I like it.
You know, no, it's the height of the dignity of
Yeah.
Very few countries in the world have a moment like this. They're usually, plunged into civil war, which the MAGA movement was trying to do, and that's what January 6th meant. We are not going to accept the outcome of a legitimate election because we didn't win, and we will tear this country up and kill cops and storm the Capitol. So she represents the opposite of that. I say that's the height of dignity.
Yeah.
But her future, I guess she's looking at running for governor for California. Tavis, you and I talked about this a little bit before. I think Trump ran the perfect election for today. She ran the perfect election for 15 years ago. And so I think both candidates were perfectly crafted for the messages and the signals that they decided to run on. There's always the noise in the signal. Trump got the signal right this time. The Democrats were running on the noise. And they got the tenor, they got the tenor and the feeling and the movement of the country that had shifted in its resentment, in its anger, and in its frustration over being left behind, being left in a downward mobility loop, doom loop. All of the stuff that poor African Americans, have lived in for 15 generations. Now that more white folks are starting to get dragged down, sucked into that vortex of downward mobility, now it becomes a viable political issue. So, the war on the poor, all the stuff, the deregulation, the transnational global trade agreements that destroyed manufacturing base, hollowed out the middle class, all of those meta dynamics, and then you add the information age and all of the sort of giant sucking sound of transfer of wealth from the working class up to the top billionaire, trillionaire class. You basically took Joe the plumber's money and gave it to Elon Musk. All of that stuff that both parties have done since Reagan. We've had reverse Robin Hood for 70 years. And you're seeing the results of that. I'm not sure that any traditional politician that represented the establishment could win. Look across the world. Almost every single establishment status quo politician got swept out and was replaced by more right-leaning. Now, they're going to go through this right-leaning cycle, and I don't know what Harris is going to conclude about her loss. But if she could understand that talking about the middle class and talking about saving democracy for people who don't feel like they enjoy democracy, that was the wrong tack. If she could take her charisma, she's a real political athlete like Obama. If she could take that and harness it to a genuine upward mobility agenda that talked about the massive investments into the machinery that builds people up and lifts them up the economic ladder rather than taking the rungs out of the economic ladder, which is what both parties have been doing, and giving Wall Street and the global international financial system all of the advantages and all of the prosperity of the future. We've got to re-engineer that and do what Martin Luther King Jr. said, which was radically reconstruct the political economy to serve the working class and the poor. That we've been doing the opposite for 70 years, both parties. And she reaped the whirlwind of that in this election. But don't forget, the Republicans also reaped the whirlwind with that when Obama got elected because of the global financial collapse with the housing market crisis and the Great Recession. Obama rode that wave. But this time the Democrats got crushed. So depending on how her analysis goes, I don't know how she's looking at this. She could run for governor. She could maybe focus on reconstructing a new political machine, and I think you got to have a new party. If we don't follow, Bob Reich, the economist, called this years ago. Cornel West has called it forever. Talking about, and Bernie Sanders have talked about we have got to turn all of the powerful machinery and rulemaking and lawmaking, take this government and make it work for the working class. Neither party has done it, and if she can figure out how to do that, I think her future is unlimited if she can recraft it and then change how she talks. I don't know, Tavis.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I want to answer that question when we come forward. Connie's just said a few things now that I want to interrogate when we come forward. I am making notes to myself so I don't forget in a few moments here. It's a new year. I'm a year older. Leonard Pitts Jr., Pulitzer Prize winner, was a guest on this program a few weeks ago, just before I broke out of here for the holiday respite. And he subsequently wrote a piece for Substack. He couldn't take it anymore. All the blaming of Kamala Harris for why and how this election was lost. He couldn't take it anymore after leaving this show in conversation with me. He wrote a piece on Substack that I want to bring your attention to and tell you exactly what Leonard Pitts Jr. had to say, which ties in quite nicely to Connie's point. I want to get to that. And since Connie mentioned Cornel West, for those listening in Los Angeles on my home station, in L.A. We got a great lineup today, premiering, starting with Cornel West and Nina Turner and their new show, When I Go Off the Air. And then right behind them comes former Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr. with his new show, When They Go Off the Air. And then you step into D.L. Hughley, then you step into Nee Corte. It's a great rundown every day on my home station, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And today's the first day of all these new shows since Connie mentioned Cornel West. You'll hear him right after me here in Los Angeles. More when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Progressive presents Renters MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super-rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Several eastern states, including Kansas, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Virginia, have declared a state of emergency due to an impending major winter storm. Southern states like Florida and Mississippi are also warning of dangerous cold. President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden will visit New Orleans today to meet with the families of the New Orleans Bourbon Street attack victims. The attack by an apparent ISIS sympathizer killed 14 and injured dozens. Congestion pricing in New York City is moving forward after a judge approved the $9 toll for driving into Manhattan south of 60th Street. New Jersey's objections were overruled. And LeBron James now has more 30-point games than Michael Jordan with 563 games. He surpassed Jordan's record in the Lakers' 119-102 win over the Atlanta Hawks. Jordan set the previous record in 2003 with the Washington Wizards. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Lowe's knows how to save you time and money. Order what you need by 2 p.m. to get it delivered same day. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes for same-day delivery. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NFL playoffs are set. The Chargers and Rams are in the wild card round. The Chargers will play at Houston on Saturday. The Rams will be at home next Monday night against Minnesota. Magic Johnson's NFL team, the Washington Commanders, will play at Tampa Bay Sunday night. First playoff appearance for the Commanders franchise in 5 years. The Commanders' 12-5 record represents their highest win total since 1991. It was a big weekend for Magic. On Saturday, Magic was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom Award at the White House by President Biden. The Lakers lost at Houston last night, 119-115. The Clippers are at Minnesota tonight. USC's women's basketball team got a 50-point win Sunday at Rutgers, 23 points, 14 rebounds, and 3 steals for USC star Juju Watkins. The Trojans are 14-1, 4-0 in the Big Ten Conference. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online.
Uh-huh.
I read that 3 out of 4 adults in the United States have a high risk factor for severe COVID-19. And black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
You okay?
I can't sleep with this cough.
Sounds like you need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with NyQuil VapoCool. It's NyQuil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
So you ready to get some sleep? Thank you, NyQuil VapoCool.
NyQuil VapoCool, the vaporizing nighttime coughing, aching, fever, best sleep with a cold medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has a program specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to resolve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley and Connie Rice as we kick off 2025, my first live show of the year. Glad to be back and glad to have you tuned in to this program today and hopefully every day this year that we are blessed to be on the air. Before I get to Lyndon Pitts Jr., Joe Biden, some other things I want to get to, Connie, I'm looking at a number of questions coming in from listeners all around the country, and this one kind of grabbed my attention because it at least in my mind, is an interesting juxtaposition, an interesting framing, to use your word. And here's the question: should progressives have staged a protest today regarding January 6, 2000, albeit without the violence? Whatever you think of them, they at least showed up on this certification day a few years ago to express themselves. So the question is whether or not progressives should have staged a protest today in Washington on Capitol Hill without the violence.
You know, that's not a bad idea. But, Tavis, I have to tell you, my friends are all under the covers with a pillow over their head. They ain't going nowhere. I'm so embarrassed by our response.
Yeah.
You know, all of my wonderful, educated friends who are like, they got it. I said, what are you talking about? They're defeated. They're upset. They're angry. And one of them said, I'm not talking to white people anymore. You know, I'm like, are you kidding me? One, and like I said, did Harriet Tubman quit? I said, what?
Yeah.
You know, did Fannie Lou Hamer quit? What are you talking about? We got the easiest of all the generations fighting this fight. Look, justice is a relay, and you got to run your leg like the wind and hand that baton off and not lead the track. You know.
Yeah.
So no, it's not a bad idea. I think that acknowledging that we need to do what Kamala Harris is going to do today, which is go in there with dignity to defend the values you know are right. Because you lost the election doesn't mean your values are wrong. Doesn't mean that you all of a sudden join the hate fest. Doesn't mean that you all of a sudden chuck democracy for strongman autocracy with a criminal head in the government. Doesn't mean you endorse all that.
Yeah.
What it means is that you understand the significance of how that happened And then you reverse engineer a strategy that says, okay, let's get to the signal. We've been dealing with the noise. Let's get to the third rail of this and neutralize it and figure out what we need to do. So I think that a demonstration, I think that how we show up, where and when and how we enter are very important, and that could have been a way.
Yeah. Nobody turns a phrase like Connie Rice, and I enjoy immensely my dialogues with her. I'm laughing because the minute you said it, I started thinking about what my day would be like, how far I would get this week if I avoided talking to all white people. I'm thinking.
This ain't South Africa. Okay? We don't live in South Africa.
Yeah.
We live in the United States. Understand where we are. That's what I tell young people. I said, this isn't Wakanda.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't exist. Okay.
This ain't Wakanda, y'all.
It's real.
Yeah, I started laughing, I'm thinking about my calendar just today when I get off the air. And I'm thinking, how could I navigate my day just today without talking to any white person? I couldn't do it today. I couldn't do it today or any other day, given the lane that I run in. It would not happen, including guests on this program. I'd have a difficult time if I only wanted to talk to black people for the rest of my career. That'd be a challenge. But it's funny. I digress. Let me circle now back. We talked about Kamala Harris. We talked about Donald Trump, of course, being certified today. Let me circle back to Joe Biden because I've been reading a number of pieces lately that are just frankly getting under my skin because and many of these pieces are being written by folk on the left and leave it to the left. You know how you and I don't feel that differently about many of our friends on the left, and sometimes we have to fight with our friends. But I'm seeing one too many stories about Joe Biden as a one-term president. And the way they're casting the die in this regard. I've read a bunch of pieces over the last few days, comparing Joe Biden and Jimmy Carter. And I'm getting really, really unnerved by this because to my mind, and I could be wrong, if I'm wrong, Connie will disabuse me of this notion, but there really is no comparison. I say this with all due respect to Jimmy Carter, who I love dearly. His state funeral is on Thursday. If you listen to this program, you know that Jimmy Carter was a personal friend. I've interviewed pretty much all the presidents over my broadcast career, save Donald Trump, and that was my choice as much as it was his. But I've interviewed pretty much all the presidents, never anyone more than Jimmy Carter. So I've interviewed Carter more than any other president, just in case you're curious. Bill Clinton is second on that list. Barack Obama is third on that list of persons I've interviewed in terms of multiple times. I talked to Jimmy Carter more than anybody, in part because he wrote like 10,000 books. And every time he had a book out, he'd come on to talk to me about it. So I had a nice friendship for many, many years with Jimmy Carter, who served, I think, this country honorably. But there is no comparison, having said all that, between Jimmy Carter and Joe Biden in terms of what they accomplished during their one term. And I'm tired of reading these pieces, Connie, suggesting that Biden is akin to Jimmy Carter, a failed president leaving after one term. If Joe Biden is leaving office after one term for any reason, it's because he aged out. He aged out, and we all saw that at that particular debate. He is not leaving office because he was a failed president, and I'm reading too many stories that are framing this that way, and it's troubling to me. Even as I've had issues with Joe Biden on a number of things, that is not the proper framing. I know you're reading the same stuff I'm reading. How are you processing that?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. And I have my issues with Joe Biden.
Sure.
He's the one who sank Anita Hill and put Clarence Thomas on the damn Supreme Court. So, I have my issues going way back.
Way back, yeah, sure.
But as a president, he's going to be seen as extremely consequential for a lot of good reasons and bad reasons. But it's not going to be that he did small bore stuff. He came in at a time of international fracture, the pandemic. He came in at a time of global economic fracture. He actually landed the plane on the Hudson with inflation. The average worker couldn't afford their Doritos potato chips or eggs and didn't see it. But in terms of macro finance, he did huge. In terms of those huge pieces of legislation for infrastructure and climate change and the pandemic recovery, the reason most folks didn't become bankrupt because of the reaction to the pandemic is because of that money infusion. So he's going to be known for big, almost FDR level rescue stuff in terms of legislation that should never have been able to be passed with the MAGA movement and the Tea Party movement and all those nitwits who the party of no, no go, no nothing. Yeah. He shouldn't have been. He got that stuff through. He got the money into the pipeline. He's also going to be remembered for a terrible, terrible strategy of backing an unleashed and unhinged war, and backing that with a crazy strategy, and the enormous devastation of the Palestinians. So no, he's very different from Carter. Carter is going to be known as a deeply decent humanitarian. He's probably the only president in the 20th century who wasn't a politician and who didn't use he came into the office and he lived his moral values through everything he did. But he also set up the Democrats for we know that he told truth. He told truth to the American people, and he did it in such a direct, blunt way that they turned away from him. He didn't tell them, life's going to be easy. I'm going to fix everything for you. He told them, get your bootstraps and do something for your country, and understand you're going to have to do with less. American people don't like being told. They're like spoiled kids. They don't like being told they got to work hard, work harder and do less and do with less. And there was he framed it in the wrong way. So he set it up for government can't help you. We can't do anything for you. You're going to have to do it. And that opened the way for the Republicans to come in and say, we have the answer. So I think it's going to be a mixed legacy, but raining down on Joe Biden, for those reasons, it makes no sense to me.
Nope, we agree on that. Again, we have our issues with Joe Biden. Connie and I both going way back. Say nothing of Israel, Palestine, a number of other things I could put on that list. Reparations, long list of things. Criminal justice reform, a lot of things that Joe Biden did not get done. But these comparisons to him and Jimmy Carter in this moment, it's just what the media does. And again, some of these articles are written by people who ought to know better. But I digress on that for now. I mentioned to you a moment ago that Leonard Pitts wrote a pretty powerful piece once he left this program a few weeks ago, about his view of what happened in this election and what happens when we go forward. I'll give you just a taste of that and let Connie respond to what Leonard had to say when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Between all the holiday parties,
weekend tailgates,
and family get-togethers,
we've been overindulging a little more than usual over the holidays. But now, we are starting the new year off on a healthier note by taking Active Liver supplements from New Nordic every day.
Active Liver contains a powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract, all natural ingredients that help protect the liver so that it can protect you from toxins. It's like giving my body a daily detox. I've never felt better, and my energy is through the roof.
And my doctor is already impressed with how much better my numbers are looking. So if better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief.
Active Liver is available in both tablets and as a delicious gummy. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin. Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300 $100.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TOOL for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TOOL for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TOOL.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Connie Rice. I'm watching my clock here. Let me hasten to get to this piece that Leonard Pitcher Jr., Pulitzer Prize winner, wrote for many, many years, as you know, for the Miami Herald. For me, he was always a must-read copy. This brilliant brother, actually from L.A., but settled on the East Coast and wrote for the Miami Herald for many years, again, winning the Pulitzer Prize for commentary. And nobody turns a phrase like Connie Rice. Nobody turns a phrase like Leonard Pitcher Jr. Let me get right to it, Connie. His piece is titled, Got to Give the People What They Want. We all know that song, Give the People What They Want. And he argues in this piece that this is a piece for Substack. If you're on Substack, you can find it. You should really read it. One of the best things I've read post-election. Give the People What They Want is the name of it. And he argues that this is what the American people wanted. I quote from him about the two questions, rather, that we've been asking ourselves perennially since Election Day, Connie. The first is, what was wrong with her? Leonard's second question is, what was wrong with her party? But he says there's a third question, a more trenchant question, which goes unasked. What is wrong with America? And he goes in on that third question that ain't nobody asking. Not what's wrong with her. Not what's wrong with the Democrats. We've gone through those questions. Nobody's asked what is wrong with America. And what he argues is that the American people got exactly what they wanted. Give the people what they want. They wanted this kind of incompetence, and that's what they got. How would you address the question that nobody's talking about, again, what is wrong with America? Connie Rice. Check your mute button, Connie. You might hit your mute button while you're on hold. Check your mute button because I can't hear you if you can hear me. And I want to hear Connie's answer to this question. Connie, are you there? Let me get Miles on the phone to get Connie. We had a little technical glitch here. Nothing like the first day of the year on the live show to have a technical glitch, but we'll figure that out right quick. But that's Leonard's piece in Substack, and he again raises a question that, frankly, nobody's really addressed. And I'm not sure that that's a question we really want to address for all the obvious reasons. It's easy to talk about what was wrong with Kamala as a candidate, easy to talk about what was wrong with the party, and Democrats are going at it. There's going to be a reckoning. There is a reckoning right now inside the Democratic Party. And are you watching all this infighting? Are you watching all the infighting in the Democratic Party, even as they try to figure out who their next chair is going to be? But there was always going to be a reckoning post the Biden era. And given that Kamala lost, that reckoning is coming sooner than later. There will be a reckoning for the Republicans post Donald Trump. What are these parties going to look like into the future? When we come forward, I'll let Connie address the question that I posed a moment ago from Leonard Pitcher Jr. What's wrong with America? Isn't this exactly what America wanted? Give the people what they want. This is what they wanted. It's what they voted for. Stop blaming Kamala. Stop blaming Democrats. This is what America wanted. We'll talk about that when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever. Backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. Forward.
Welcome to Staples.
I am so pumped. My business is going to kill it this year.
Awesome. How can I help?
First, a new computer.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing, too.
And,
a new chair?
A chair? Who has time to sit?
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the propane tank on your grill first, before hosting a tailgate.
Let's fire up. Here, let me try. Seriously? You didn't check the propane?
Who wants chips?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Salt and vinegar?
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do you do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
He does indeed with Connie Rice. Connie, I got 4.5 minutes left. I want to cover a couple of things here. First, that question that Leonard Pitch Jr. raises quite provocatively, not what's wrong with Kamala, not what was wrong with the Democrats, what's wrong with America?
Well, when they say this is what America wanted, you got to define the this.
Yeah.
I think it's more about what America did not want. And remember, he got 50% of the vote, which is more than he got the last time, but it's still a 50-50 country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 90 counties shifted right, but also it was, it's still a 1 to 2 to 3% margin. It's still a margin of error country. We're deeply divided and fractured, although I think a lot of the confrontation and the vitriol are generated because people make money off of the rage machine online. But the real issue here is, what was America's? They wanted change. They wanted radical disruption of the current system that keeps driving too many people grounding people into dust, economic dust. They can't get ahead. Their kids can't get jobs. The economy isn't working for them. The politics aren't working for them. They're scared of the cultural change. They're scared of the racial changes. And you've got big, global, huge, mega hits of the pandemic, the globalization, and the wars on terrorism. All of this massive stew of disruption and catastrophe have left the politics in shreds, the politics of our parents, the politics we grew up under. That stuff doesn't work anymore, Tavis.
Yeah.
And what are the new political platforms, the new political visions? I think we talked about it at the end of the year show, where we said the scary stuff on the left that is actually the solution. And Bernie Sanders came up and Elizabeth Warren came up with their workers first agenda and really talked about severe regulation of the runaway, gambling casino that Wall Street had become. All of that stuff goes against the trillionaire oligarchy that actually runs the country and all of their wealth generating machinery and the reverse Robin Hood that they have managed to buy through buying the political parties over the last 70 years. All that stuff is what they were voting against. And Harris was the avatar for the establishment. And Trump is the mistaken avatar for the disruptor. Okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So when you ask people, will you vote for the fact that he actually celebrates sexual assault against women, they'll say no.
Yeah.
If you look at the MAGA interviews of crosstabs and what were you voting for, they're voting for the stuff I just said. Yes, 15% of them are hardcore racists, and they want to hurt immigrants and they wish black people could be shipped back to Africa. All that.
Yeah.
But that's 15% of the MAGA base. It's not the majority.
Yeah.
and we're going to disagree on all kinds of things, especially me as an African American feminist. You know, all this he too manosphere crap, all of that. You know, I reject all that. They can sign on to it if they want to, but we're not going back to that nonsense. We're not going to the Playboy Mansion. You know that's not happening. We don't have to agree on all that stuff. A lot of the stuff is not universal, but what is common is the we are losing. So we want the game to change. It's not that different from what a lot of African Americans, what we have been saying for 400 years. So let's focus on that and create a new politics. It's not going to be focused on race. It's going to be focused on not leaving everybody behind, but bringing everybody forward. It's going to be focused on upward mobility. It's going to be focused on ending the reverse Robin Hood mega machinery. We have a Death Star of politics that fuels the taking of money from working class, poor people, middle class, and even lower wealthy class, and funneling up to Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, okay? That is what they're saying they voted against, in my view.
That is the challenge. We'll leave it there for now. When Connie's next on this program, we will spend some time unpacking what those new politics look like, particularly for the Democratic Party. I'm curious in a future conversation as to what advice Connie has for them, given all the infighting they're engaged in. And at the moment, there is no titular head of the party. Once Joe Biden leaves the White House, Democrats are in for a rude awakening, I think, over the next few years. We shall see. Connie, once again, Happy New Year. We'll do this many times, I pray, over the course of these next 12 months. Thank you for your time today, and have a great rest of the day.
You too, Tavis.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know. New Orleans Bourbon Street attack victims. The attack by an apparent ISIS sympathizer killed 14 and injured dozens. Congestion